So I just wanted to do a video on this game that I played early on and now I'm coming back to. This is DC Worlds Collide. As you can see, my very first account was on server number 1, so I really started this early on, but now I'm just coming back to it. And I wanted to just talk about what worked for me then and what doesn't work for me now, and maybe this will help other people. I'll also have you know that I'm really not professional when it comes to these kinds of games. So everything I say will just be based on what I experienced in this game. Um, and that's it. So this is my roster right now. So I'll just run through what I did and what I should not have done. So um, as you notice, I've ranked up a good number of elites and epics, which helped me in the early game and before when it was basically a necessity to rank these guys up. But now I wouldn't recommend putting too much resources on the elites because eventually they're not gonna get you very far in the other stages. So these are my first five that I basically use. I have Superman built this way because I really wanted him to have a lot of health. It really helps him um, just last until the end where he gets particularly low here. Because he gets invulnerable once he gets really once his health gets super low, and he can heal himself to that point, and I really want him to last until he gets to this point. But to help him, hopefully, before he reaches that level, I chose the Atlantean helmet as my strongest artifact because once he uses his ultimate for the first time, it heals him, which is very it really benefits him because I don't have an official healer on my first five. And then Batman, Batman was very useful to me early on. He really helped me like muscle through the campaign. But in the later games, in the later stages, he's all right. He gets the job done, but like I would have maybe looked into an AoE character if I were to do this again, but I can't unrank them up. So I have him with 4 attack and 2 health because early on he was serving as my other front row character. He was serving as a tank and a DPS for me. And I really find that him having a lot of health while at the same time having a lot of attack um, is in line with his skills because you see his ultimate involves attack power and his other skills involve a lot of mostly attack. Red Hood is a little bit different because he can revive and his skills involve crit. That's why I have him with 4 crit and 2 attack. So it's sort of good to have a little bit of variety even if Batman serves the same function as he does. So Red Hood was actually the first character that I got from the gacha and I just kept on getting his fragments. So eventually I just carried him with me and he really helped particularly because of his revive, which I'm showing here. Um it gave him a second chance, which I really needed in the early stages and also in arena. Um so this artifact was the first one I got, but that's why I have it enhanced significantly. But I would have probably just focused on Batman's artifact if I were to do it again. But oh well. Nightwing's artifact I got second. That's why I also have it considerably enhanced. So Nightwing's a little bit different. I have him at with 4 block equipment and 2 health because I sort of wanted him to function differently from Superman because his passive involves block, which is really beneficial, especially with him being in the front row. He was actually not a character that I prioritized early on Like early on, I actually didn't have um, two tanks in my roster. It's only now that I recently got two tanks in the front, and the rest are just two attacks and one support. Now, you may be wondering why I chose Raven as my quote unquote support instead of like Kid Flash. Mostly because I liked her character, but I liked her revive as well. Her attack is all right. Let's say if you just need her to contribute a little bit in the attack sphere, she can. But I mostly have her as my revive. So honestly, the revive is very useful to me compared to like let's say Kid Flash, and his heal. But I really wouldn't recommend it in particular. Like the revive just works for my team because it just. But still go for Kid Flash if you can. Um, so now I'm gonna try them in a few game modes, and we'll see how far I get. So you can see how this team works well and when they don't. So for the campaign, I usually have my DPS characters go first because I really want them to be aggressive. And now that I have tanks, I can allow them to be aggressive because the tanks generally do a decent job of staying alive, and Raven helps them stay alive with the revives. That's why my DPS characters can be extra aggressive. Okay, this is a very interesting stage, so we will see if I survive. This is an example of when this team is not effective, which is when the bosses are in the front and they're basically made up of tanks. So as you can see, it's taking me a while versus if let's say I had an AoE DPS that could get the back row ASAP. But because I don't, I have to really go through this front row first. And I don't have a choice because I didn't have like Ivy or Damien as like back row DPSers. So so you see, by the time I'm done with this front row, my tanks have taken a considerable amount of damage, and that's why I have Raven as my support. Because when they're gone, Raven can bring them back, which is very helpful in the long run. Just for this team in particular. So as you can see, I managed to survive, but that's basically only because my DPS characters are still pretty much like strong in a way, but eventually when you have like if the other team is as strong as you, then it's really not gonna work out. I'm gonna see what here. Let's see. See, this is exactly what I mean. So these characters are pretty strong, and I don't think I'm gonna win. But we'll see, hopefully. So I wanted to talk about why I have the bat cycle and the mirror as my collections. I use these collections for all game modes. So I still kept the bat cycle with me because it can damage multiple enemies in a particular row. So it's particularly useful if my DPS characters didn't get the job done and I just really need to get through a certain row quickly. The mirror helps me heal, even though it's it's still serving me well at this point, the mirror. But since Raven can't really like heal the way like Kid Flash or Pandora can. So, but eventually I know the mirror won't be enough, so This is why this team isn't that effective. See there, Raven's revived. You just saw Raven revive. She's really giving my team like more opportunities to like stick around. So she's really, really useful for that. So as you can see, my front row is gone and now Raven is gone. So now I'm basically done for. So what you just saw there is an example of when my team doesn't work, and I'll see. Just look at the stats here in a minute because the other team has Zatanna. Basically Zatanna really helped them gain a lot of health with her lifesteal. And my team just really doesn't have heals at all. So this team really isn't that effective, like to begin with. And they also have better artifacts. I mean, better collections. So it was generally pretty close, and you'll find that the other contributing factors are really what wins a particularly close matchup. So as you can see, I don't have a lot of coins and I don't have a lot of gems, and that's really serving a problem for me right now. So my progress is really hindered by the fact that I don't have too much resources because I've been putting them into the equipment for my first 5. I'd also like to note, I'll go through these quickly, that all of my secondary characters have equipment on them because it really helps, particularly in the other mode of arena where you have 3 teams. So I do make sure to keep just equipment for each of them in case I do need them for like convergence or even Crisis Watch. Sometimes I bring them out for Crisis Watch when I need to fulfill requirements. In case you guys are curious, this is my character lounge. I currently have these missions going on right now. So that's basically it. You'll notice I already brought this up, but I really don't recommend putting too many resources into the elites. So there. You'll see my stats here and the end. I'll do another video on my new account and what I'm doing there. So thanks guys.